The main learning objective of this chapter is to know the supply of and how to recognize official vector charts displayed on an ECDIS.
The S52 standard determines how ENC data is handled by the ECDIS software to show objects on the chart display, through symbols, line styles, shapes, colors, and other visual cues. Attributes are the details of charted object that the ECDIS software uses to build and display the object on the chart screen. Scarmin is one such attribute, and dictates at what minimum scale an object will be visible on the chart display. When the scale value is exceeded, the object is removed from the display. If the Scarmin attributes are not effective, the chart display can become too cluttered with unreadable information at small scales. The S57 standard determines how ENC data is passed between different computers. This could be from the chart supplier to the ECDIS computer on a vessel, or between an ENC manufacturer and a RENC. People often refer to official charts as S52 or as S57 charts.
The International Hydrographic Office set up a committee called WEND for the coordination of chart production and chart supply around the world. The WEND committee has a supervisory and advisory function with three main principles: that the organization responsible for surveying an area should also be responsible for chart production, that chart data must comply with requirements of IHO and IMO standards, and that a quality assured system has to apply to data production. The WEN system led to the creation of regional ENC coordination centres, whose main function is to collate charts from a country's hydrographic office and organise their distribution via authorised service providers, often called value-added retailers. Some countries distribute their own vector charts direct from their hydrographic office, for example Japan and Australia. RENCs have several functions apart from collating and distributing vector charts. These are issuing of chart license or permit, ensuring ENC chart data is consistent, encrypting chart files for data protection and anti-piracy,
The vessel owners or managers arrange the supply of charts with an approved supplier. It is possible to buy individual chart cells, ones that cover a route, or all charts in an area. Here is how the UK Hydrographic Office have grouped charts into 3 folios to make selection easier. Click the buttons to see the folios that broadly represent usage bands 1 to 6. These folios are intended to be used by a vessel transiting an area such as crossing the Mediterranean Sea from Gibraltar to Port Said. They do not have the more detailed charts that would not be necessary. These folios are designed for regional and coastal trading, where more detail of complex coastal waters is required. This consists mainly of port approach, harbour and berthing charts. The chart installation disks contain other files apart from the ENC data exchange set. One very important file is the README file that has lots of information concerning charts and ECDIS in general. The README file can be seen on the UKHO website.
It is recommended when loading new versions of a chart or updates that old files are deleted, as some ECDIS devices will display the original file rather than a newer version.
When creating electronic charts on ECDIS, manufacturers apply the S57 data format standard differently, causing slight variations in how images of an object look on the chart display. In the illustration, one manufacturer looked at a beacon and coded it with a top mark. The other manufacturer saw it as a day mark. When the ENC dataset is loaded onto the ECDIS, there is a conversion process creating what is called a system electronic navigational chart, enabling the ECDIS to show chart information. Each ECDIS converts the ENC dataset in its own way, creating a SENC that is unique to the make of ECDIS.
Some value-added retailers convert the ENC dataset into an SENC before delivery to the vessel, which speeds up the process of loading charts on the ECDIS. ECDIS software includes a file called the presentation library, which allows the ECDIS to recognize symbols in the SENC and draw them on the chart display. If the presentation library version is out of date, ECDIS will not recognize objects in the SENC and cannot display them, making the ECDIS not comply with SOLAS carriage requirements. When the presentation library is out of date, a magenta-colored question mark appears on the display. A large one, indicating no knowledge of the object, a small one, indicating no knowledge of an attribute. Let's summarize what you have learnt in this chapter.
S52 is the IHO standard for vector charts,
And that an object's attribute influences the managing of the object on ECDIS. We've learnt that WEND is the IHO's umbrella on world chart production, and that there are two ranks in charge of chart coordination and distribution. That the ENC dataset converts to an SENC when loaded on ECDIS, and finally, that the ECDIS presentation library needs to be the latest version to display objects correctly.